was kind of the nightmare offensively that you were hoping to avoid a little bit. Turned it over, self-inflicted penalties. Second half, couldn't get good field position to start, started backed up. Really felt like we kind of killed ourselves on a lot of these drives. And, it was just one of those deals, just everything was just a little off. Everything was a little out of reach, a little off the mark, a little too far. Our defense was really proud of them. I thought they settled in, played really hard. We missed a bunch of tackles early, and that was kind of where the points and all that stuff came from. But, the reality of it is second half, they bowed their neck and gave us a chance the whole way through. I knew our team was going to be tested at some point. I knew at some point we were going to have to find out what kind of team we have and the resolve that we've got and the grit on this team. But, I didn't think it was going to be week one, but here we are. So, told the team today, look, this is going to define our season one way or the other. We're either going to come together, we're going to, look at this tape, we're going to approach it head on and find a way to get better, or we're going to let it break us a little bit. And, I know what I expect tomorrow. Told them I'll come here, I'll be better because I didn't do a very good job getting them ready to play, obviously. And that's my number one job. So, disappointing. Week one, got to decide what we're going to do from here and if we're going to make a run at it or not.
Coach, could you just give us a quick update on Walker? I know, obviously, the game just ended, but I noticed he didn't go back into the game. Was that his call, your call? What kind of one was that?
No, I don't have an update on it. He couldn't move. He was trying to go in there, but that's not – it's not a great spot for Daniel to be in. It's not a great spot for him to be in. At least Daniel's healthy and can move around out there and protect himself. And I'm not going to put a kid out there in a situation where he might get hurt because he wants to play. He'd have stayed in there if we'd have let him. Trainers didn't think it was the right thing to do. And, I'm going to err on the side of caution. It's not worth getting a kid really hurt for the long term. So, hopefully we'll get him back. He did some good things tonight, made some mistakes, like you expect in your first start. But, we weren't going to put him in a situation where he couldn't protect himself.
The field position was awful in the second half, and the running game in that 198-yard drive did well. But what was the biggest problem with the running game in all the other drives other than that one that really shone with you?
Yeah, it was. We have a couple of them. We have one of them where we got a good crease, we slip. One of them where we don't get off on the double team, the linebacker. It was just little things here and there. It was. Truthfully, I know a lot more now, when you have the iPads and all that stuff that you can watch. It's just, it's hard to put your finger on one thing. In the run game, it's not one person. It's not one position group. It's, we run one, we run outside zone, the guy falls down at the point of attack. It was things that it's, as a coach, it's just really disappointing because I know how hard these guys have worked. I know how hard they practice. I just want them to go out there and go play like they've been working to that level. But we didn't, and I know what's in it for this team. And I said this earlier in the week. At some point, this is going to be a really good football team. And I believe that. We just got to play a little bit better as one. It was, then you throw a ball on 2nd and 9 and you have a drop. That's a run after catch. It was just a lot of things that were, hell, you watched it. It's kind of like, it's just not what good teams do. So, we're not there yet. Got a long way to go to be where we want to be. But we got some time to get there. We gotta work hard and got to get there quick.
What went into the play call for the 2-point conversion?
Well, it was late third, so we're going to go for 2, down by 8. Typically, that's what we do is late third, early fourth is kind of when we start going for 2. It's one that we had for a while. It's an unbalanced deal that, they jumped out there and matched it. I didn't really get to see that one. I know they matched the first read and the option. I didn't see if we got the back line open or not. So I can't speak to, if I thought we had one there or not, but that was kind of the first one that we had up. It's just a, play that we felt good about, kind of unbalanced deal, try to get them kind of figuring out and going from there. But they definitely matched the first option. I know that.
Coach, does a game like this, when you're playing a team that's trying to control the clock so much, does that even more emphasize how important it is to cash in on the opportunities you have when you get the football?
It does. It felt like it was very hard to get in rhythm on offense. I think we had 1 possession in the first quarter. I think we had maybe 2 in the second, maybe. It was very difficult to kind of get in a flow. And, And then I think, you start to feel like, oh my God, we got to make it happen now. And, and then that's when you're pressed, that's never when good things happen. We had some shots and things that I wanted to get to, but in the second half, we started running the ball better. So it was like, well, we're still in position to be able to do that, to run it, and did some good things in the second half in the run game. In the first half, we just didn't have a lot of opportunities. It didn't feel like so. Yeah, I mean, they played a good team game. They played a formula to win. The entire second half, they snapped the ball with 5 seconds left on the play clock. They were going to bleed it out, and they were going to try to let their defense get stops. Felt like we needed to hit on some explosives tonight, and we didn't. We weren't very explosive for a team that has shown that we can be. So, the formula they used to win. They played a better game than us. Their head coach outcoached me. I did not do a good enough job for our team, and I told them in there, don't look around, look at me. I'll get this fixed. I'll be better. But yeah, it was just one of those nights that couldn't really get any type of rhythm. It felt like on offense.
Strange game with penalties because you only had 5 when you look at the final stat sheet, but it seemed like they were big ones because they cost you field position. They cost a couple big plays. The penalties you had were really costly. Yeah,
they were. 2 of them were on punt, so we end up backed up. That's just a discipline thing. You just play disciplined football. Instead of having the ball out at the 20, 25-yard line, it goes from the catch and all that. I mean, you're inside the 10. That's a tough spot to be. We get the ball out to about midfield in 2 minutes, and we get a holding call. It was just those. It's just things that good teams don't do. That you don't beat yourself, and we did. And in critical situations, we did. And the face mask, that happens on defense sometimes. You're running, trying to get the ball. Got to be a little more disciplined. Go low. Wrap up. But like some of the stuff was just in really bad moments. And you got to play good team football to win, and that's something we've done really good around here. Tonight we were really poor at playing team football, and that's how you end up getting beat.
What was the big adjustment defensively that you made? Because you basically shut them down third to the end of the game.
We just challenged them to tackle better. The first half we were there. The first half we had guys free. We had TFLs. We had all kind of stuff. We just didn't get them on the ground. And, the way we practice, the way we thud, all the stuff that we do, tackling is typically not a big issue in the first game. With an option offense, it better be good because it's a lot of one-on-one tackles. And I thought defensively, really, there's not a whole lot you can really do against the option. If you start pressuring, start doing all kind of crazy stuff, well, you're going to end up in a bad spot fast. So you just got to play good, sound defense. In the second half, we tackle well. I thought the first half we didn't get off of blocks and win any one-on-ones up front, or not many. The second half we did. We created some tackles for a loss and get them behind the sticks and got them to punt the football. So, defensively, I thought we played outstanding in the second half. To give up 14 points, that you should never lose a football game when you give up 14. And, like I said, it was just a poor showing on offense for sure.
A lot of drop balls. I know you mentioned that earlier. Do you think it's nerves, jitters, or just a lot of new receivers trying to find their rhythm?
Got to feel like it's got to be a lot of nerves, to be honest with you. It's just plays that, that we've just made, just routine plays that guys have made over and over again. That's always part of the first one, when you have a bunch of new people in there. And, it was a lot of just drops and just things that, it's, like I said, it's just really hard to put your finger on. Really good week of practice, really focused. Everybody's ready to go, pregame felt really good. It's just when you're under the lights, sometimes it's a little different. And, these guys have done it. So now, they've got to just go out there and go operate and go play like veterans, even the ones that aren't. So, it's just, I don't know how many times it's like you're just like a hair off on so many things. And it's, you sit here and you say, well, these 2 or 3 plays make a difference. That's pretty much every game, but we didn't make them.
Can you talk about just the trickiness moving forward here? If you don't run the football, you mentioned again, you're wanting to take shots with the skill sets that you have, but the trickiness of taking shots, if you're not running the football, puts you behind the sticks and makes efficiency very complicated.
It is. When you're in rhythm, it's the shots and things like that are a whole lot easier. We've been here before with some weird games where, didn't get a lot of possessions or kind of couldn't really get it going, and it happens like that. So, I was pleased with the way we ran the ball at times, especially in the second half. We've got to find the right formula there and make sure we get into the stuff that's going to help us continue to do that, and get in the right stuff and be able to build our shots off of that. And we just got to be a little more efficient running it, which we were at times. So for our offense to go, like our nakeds and our shots and all this stuff come off the run game. And that's really where our comfort level is. So, we've just got to be more efficient doing it, where you feel like, well, you run it, you're not going to be at 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 11. You're going to be at 2nd and 2, and you feel good about taking a shot, or maybe you run it again, then take a shot, whatever the case may be, however you sequence it. It's, you have to be efficient in the way that you're operating, running the football for those things to work.
Were you watching Walker when he went down? Because I didn't think he got hit.
He did not get hit. I don't want to speculate, he didn't get hit. He just felt something, and I'm not going to get into, but he was locked up pretty good. I mean, you saw him trying to get off the field. He was hurting pretty bad. So no, it was not contact. It was just one of those fluke things, I guess.
I mean, it was crazy because you just completed a 25-yard pass and you only needed. Yeah. On the good side, you lost a great kicker, and he nailed both field goals, and you probably had confidence if you could have gotten field goal range, it might have happened.
We had a lot of confidence in Tony, and I kind of told you guys going into it. I mean, it's that battle is just a little easier. Those guys it's all about who's hitting them and who's not. I mean, he was really automatic all through camp. But again, you don't know how they're going to do it till you get under the lights, and he performed really well. That field goal before half was big. Made it a one-possession game. We're getting the ball back. He gave you a little life. You felt like at halftime, man, like we played about as bad as we could on offense, and we're still a one-possession game. In the second half, we just couldn't hit on the things that were just, right there in front of us. So, gotta make the easy plays look easy, and we made the easy ones look pretty damn hard tonight. And that's disappointing.